So this presentation is to demonstrate the stairways and ladders safeties for the construction site. So there's some typical hazard that happened while using the stairways and ladders. The stairways and ladders can cause many injuries and fatalities among the construction workers. About half of the injuries caused by slips, trips, and falls from ladders and stairways, and it requires the workers to have a time off of the job. It costs the direct cost for the construction and the indirect cost for all the workers and the employees. If you look at these pictures, that this workers doesn't use a proper way to use the top of the rungs of the step ladders, which will cause a falls from the ladders. At the end of this training, you should be able to list or describe two things. One is the safety guidelines and their requirements for the stairways used at the construction site, and the second is the safe practice and the requirements for all the ladder uses. The stairway and the ladders. There must be a stairway or ladder at the point of the access where there's an elevation break of 90 inches or more. At least one point of the access must be kept clear. This is true unless there's a ramp or runway or embankment or a personnel hoist is provided at the construction site. So let's now compare a difference between the handrail versus the stair rail. A handrail is a rail used to provide employees with a handhold for support. And the stair rail system is a vertical barrier that erect along the unprotected side of the edges of a stairway to prevent the employee from falling to the lower levels. So the handrail and top rail strength. The handrail and the top rail of the stairwell system must be capable of withstanding or without failure at least 200 pounds of the weight applied with 2 inches of the top edge in any downward or outward direction at any point along the top edge. So the handrail must be provided an adequate handhold for employees to grip to prevent the falls. Temporary handrail must have a minimal clearance of 3 inches between the handrail and the walls. Stairrail system and other projects. Stairwells with 4 or more risers or higher than 30 inches must be equipped with at least one handrail. If you look at the picture on the right hand side, the stairwell to this platform has more than 4 risers, but it did not provide any guarded handrails or stair rails. So the platform it requires guarding at this point. So for the stairways, uh, 4 steps or more must have a handrail. If there's a fall hazard of 6 feet or more on an exposed side of the stairs, then a stair rail system must be provided to prevent workers from falling off the site. If you look at the picture on the right hand side again, you see the person try to access from the lower level to a top level, but the stairways doesn't have any guardrail or stair rail system that be provided or to prevent the workers falling from above. This is definitely a no-no at the construction site. When you build a stair rail system um, on the site, uh, you should install it between 30 and 50 degrees to for the stair rail system and the stairways, and also must have a uniform riser height and tread depth with less than half inches variations. Sometimes on the construction site, they use pan stairs for the temporary stairways. Those pan stairs can only be used if filled with filler material at least to the top edge of each pan. You can see here that's where the pan they have not filling anything. You have to fill in something right here. Um, and also you have to make sure secure the metal pan landings and metal pans threads in place before filling it. After using it, you have to replace all threads and landings when worn below the top edge of the pan. Workers may not use the spiral stairways that will not be permanent parts of the structures. The stairways landings must be at least 30 inches deep and 22 inches wide at every 12 feet or less of vertical rise. Unprotected side of the landings must have a standard 42 inches guardrail system to prevent workers falling from top levels. So at the landing platform, if there's a door swing out to the platform, you'd have to have a at least 20 inches beyond the swing of the door and to help the worker have a standing area. Remember that guardrail system may also need to be placed at the platform with a swing door to protect from potential falls of 6 feet or above. It is also important for the competent person to identify the dangerous conditions while using the stairs or even before using the stairs. If you find something that can cause slippery or fall or uh, any other dangerous activities while walking on the stairs or ladders, you have to fix it before using it, and the stairway parts must be free of projections which may cause injuries or snag closing. So now let's talk about the ladders. There's some general ladder requirements to use. So general ladder requirements. The ladder must be kept in a safe condition. So you have to keep the area around the top and bottom of the ladder clear. Ensure the rungs and the cleats and also the steps are level and uniformly spaced. Ensure rungs are spaced 10 to 40 inches apart. Also, keep the ladders free from slipping hazard as well. Uh, Only use the ladders when on their design purpose. Do not tie the ladders together to make a longer section unless designed for such use. You can use the scaffold system to when you need horizontal activities, such as in this picture on the right hand side, people try to mud the wall. They have to build a temporary scaffold system instead of using the ladders to do the horizontal uh, activities. Also, do not use any single rail ladders, and also make sure that load ladders beyond the maximum load for which they were built is not okay or beyond the manufacturer rated capacity. That's definitely a no-no on the construction side. So before you're using the ladders, you have to check the ladder conditions and check the surrounding areas. So secure the ladders to prevent the accidental movement due to the workplace activities. You have to clear the pathways to ensure the person don't run past by or even build a barricade if necessary to use to around the traffic area or along the activities to prevent the people run by the ladders and knock the person off from the ladder. And only use the ladder on the stable and level surfaces unless it's the security tied off or has the cross bracing secured. Do not use ladder on the slippery surface unless secured or provided with slip-resistant feet. So sometimes during the construction activities, you have to use the portable ladders to move around the site to work on different activities. Uh, so you have to inspect before use of this type of ladders. You have to check if there's any cracks, dents, or missing rents on these portable ladders, and make sure the cleats and the treads it's good in good condition, and it's uniformly spaced as well. And also the side rails can be provided as well and must support 4 times of the maximum load. Make sure that's always in your mind. Also, there's another type of the ladder system called double clit ladder, which will it's created for the two-way system on the construction site. Uh, this has to be have a guardrail system to prevent the workers from falling from the ladders, and also like uh, any other ladder system, the surrounding area has to be leveled or spaced to clear the traffic and and also on a stable surface as well. So for the wood ladders, don't paint the wood ladders unless you want to put a warning labels on the side face of the side rail, and if you paint it, it will cause a slippery or other problems which will cause the workers to fall from the ladders. So for the working length of the ladders and the ladder angles, non-self-supporting ladders which lean against the wall or other support, position at the angle where the horizontal distance from the top of the support to the foot of the ladder is 1/4 of the working length of the ladder. Uh, if you look at the right hand pictures that from the bottom to top, it's 60 feet tall and the ladder ran 20 feet long. So with that 1/4 length, the bottom part of the ladder between the wall and the that it's 4 feet in between. Also for the ladder rail extension system, you'd have to have a tied off point on top of the ladders. And we're using the portable ladders for access to an upper landing surface. The side rail must be extended at least 3 feet above the upper landing surface. Um, and also don't forget to build some kind of guardrail system if there's no wall to prevent workers to falling from the upper level. So a tall fixed ladder requirements. A tall fixed ladder is a ladder that cannot be readily moved or carried because it is an integral part of the building or the structure. Uh, you'd have to provide a landing platform at a maximum interval of 50 feet. And also a fixed ladder must be able to support at least two loads of 250 pounds each, concentrated between any two consecutive attachments. It must also support added anticipated loads caused by ice buildup, or the winds, the rigging, and the impact loads resulting from using ladder safety devices. A near energized electrical equipment that will require a ladder to use. Uh, you have to use the non-conductive side rails such as wood or the fiberglass ladders to prevent worker to have an electrical shock or any other dangerous condition cause the injuries or maybe a worst case scenario sudden death. So in this picture, where you can see a steel ladder or the metal ladder, which is kind of lean against the wall and very close to the electrical component, which is very dangerous to for the workers. One thing keep in mind that don't ever use the top or the top step of the step ladder as a step because that will cause a unstable condition and you will lose the balance to fall off from the ladders. Cross bracing system can be equipped on the folding ladders or something. Uh, you must lock in all the cross bracing before you use it to hold the ladders in the stable condition. So a competent person must inspect all the ladders for visible defects like broken or missing rungs. If you find this kind of ladders, you must be tag it as a do not use or even send back to the your warehouse to get a new one or replace or repaired before using it. And also you have to check the surface of the uh, each steps whether there's a slippery or anything that will cause uh, the workers slip from the stairs or the ladders. So when you climb up from the ladders, make sure always face the ladders when going up and down, using at least one hand to grab the ladder when going up and down. And also do not carry any object or load that can or could cause you to lose balance and fall from the ladders. That's the end of this presentation. Some key components of the stairway system, the treads. Don't forget about the minimum treads. Make sure it's uniformly with quarter inches variations. And the railing system. the handrails, the stair rails, and guardrails. Make sure it has it when it's 19 inches or above. 42 inches from the bottom to top of the edge must a guardrail must be provided, and also the landing and the platforms must have a guardrails to prevent people from falling off from 6 feet or above, and have the 20 inches clearance between the edge of the door and also the edge of the next steps. The key component for the ladder safeties is the competent person must inspect all the ladders before using anything. Make sure there's no missing rungs or slippery surface on the stairwells. Use the correct ladders for the job, and using the correct angles, supports, treads, or cross braces and rail system. Don't overload and don't carry anything when you're using the ladder. Your employer must train you in a proper use of a ladder.